All right, today we are digging into a process that's as old as nature itself, but it's more critical right now than ever. We're talking about composting, this really simple but powerful act of turning everyday waste into what people call black gold for our gardens and farms. So let's get into it.
So let's just start with a question. We spend so much time and so much money on all these commercial products for our gardens, for our farms, but what if the best solution, the most powerful stuff, isn't actually on a store shelf? What if it's already in your kitchen, or in your yard, or out in your fields?
At its core, this is all composting is. It's basically decomposition, but we're helping it along, speeding it up. You're just taking organic stuff, things that were once alive, and helping them break down into this dark, crumbly, nutrient-packed material that plants go absolutely crazy for.
And really, this is the perfect way to think about it. In a forest, leaves fall, they decay, and they enrich the soil for all the new stuff that's going to grow. Composting is just us harnessing that exact same cycle. We're not inventing anything here. We're just tapping into nature's oldest and, frankly, most efficient recycling program. Okay, so we know what it is, but why is it such a game changer? Why do so many gardeners and farmers call it black gold? Well, it all comes down to a handful of key benefits that just completely supercharge your soil. Let's break them down.
First up, compost is like a buffet of essential nutrients for your plants. It gives them a slow, steady release of the big three: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But it also physically improves the soil itself. It breaks up heavy, dense clay, and it gives more body to loose, sandy soil. And maybe one of the most amazing things it does is help the soil hold on to water.
Seriously, the best way to picture this is to think of compost as a sponge. This is such a great way to visualize its power. Because it helps the soil retain all that moisture, compost makes plants way more resilient, especially during dry spells. And that means less watering for you and a whole lot less stress on your plants. It's a simple change with a massive, massive impact.
And the benefits just keep stacking up. See, good soil is actually a living ecosystem, and compost is the food that fuels it. It nourishes all those beneficial microbes. And this creates stronger, healthier plants that are just naturally more resistant to disease. So when your soil is this fertile, your need for all those synthetic chemical fertilizers, it just plummets.
And this brings us right back to the beginning, to that final key benefit. Composting closes the loop. All those organic materials are kept out of landfills, and they're transformed from what we see as a waste problem into a powerful solution, a really valuable, life-giving amendment for our soil.
Okay, so you're probably sold on the why by now, but what about the how? Well, making really great compost isn't just about throwing a bunch of scraps in a pile. It's kind of like baking a cake. It's all about getting the recipe right. So let's look at the key ingredients.
The whole recipe really revolves around two main categories. You've got your greens, which are rich in nitrogen, so think fresh, moist stuff, like vegetable scraps or fresh grass clippings. And then you have your browns, which are rich in carbon. These are the dry, woody materials, like fallen leaves in the autumn, sawdust, or old crop stalks. A healthy compost pile needs a good balance of both.
Now, getting this balance right is so important. Scientists have actually figured out the magic number for perfect decomposition, and it's a carbon-to-nitrogen ratio of about 30:1. So why that number? Well, the carbon-rich browns are the energy source for the microbes, and the nitrogen-rich greens give them the protein they need to build their bodies. This ratio is basically the perfect diet to keep those little guys working at peak performance.
And finally, just like any living thing, your compost pile needs two more things to thrive: water and air. The pile should always be moist, kind of like a wrung-out sponge, but definitely not soggy. And it needs oxygen. Turning the pile every so often introduces air, which is what feeds the good bacteria that do all the work without creating any of those nasty smells.
So, we've seen how compost can totally transform a single garden. But what happens when we scale this idea up? Well, the impact of composting extends way, way beyond the farm gate. Let's zoom out for a second and look at the ripple effect it has on our entire world.
Just think about this ripple effect. Environmentally, it means way less organic waste going into landfills, which cuts down on methane, a really potent greenhouse gas. Economically, it's a huge win for farmers, saving them a ton of money and boosting their yields. And for agriculture as a whole, it builds the very foundation of a sustainable food system: healthier soil for healthier food.
So, As we wrap this up, the key takeaway here is really a fundamental shift in how we see things. It's about seeing value where we used to just see garbage. It's about understanding that in nature, there's really no such thing as waste.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Composting isn't just another chore or a better way to handle your trash. It is an active, powerful tool for regeneration. It's a direct investment in the long-term health and fertility of our soil, and because of that, our planet.
So we'll leave you with this question to think about. When you look around your own world, from the coffee grounds in your kitchen to the fallen leaves in your yard, what waste is just sitting there, waiting for a chance to be transformed into something incredible? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.